Great, so in our project, let's create a guard. Here in client app folder, go into source folder, and on the right side, auth folder. Now right click on it, open in terminal, and we will run a new command. So go ahead and write down npx ng generate, or you can go ahead and write npx ng, right? G is always generate, but now we will add in another G, right? And this one is for guard. So you can go ahead and also write it that way. So Angular generate a guard and call it auth. So let's just hit enter, and it will not generate a new component, but it will generate a new guard. Now he's asking you which interface you want to implement. So don't care too much about that now, we will cover it just in a second. We take can activate and hit enter. As you can see, we now have two new files. Inside of our auth folder right here, we got the auth.guard, right? So, and the spec file. So auth guard, here we got the can activate function he was just talking about, because he's implementing that can activate interface. Great. Now go ahead and open up your app module. So go into the app folder and then app module. First of all, let's import our auth guard, which we have just created. So import auth guard from auth and then auth.guard. There we go. Okay, now we can use auth guard and scroll down to the router, because we want to for sure use the guard on a specific route, and for us it's the book flight, right? For me it's on line 32, and here you can go ahead after component, book flight component, we just add another comma and say can activate and assign a new value, so use a colon, and then we use the brackets and write down auth guard. So this is the class that we have just imported, or this is what we imported here at the very top right. So we use it inside of our path directly, can activate. Okay, let's see that in action, right? So that you can see what this can activate is doing. Let's start the application, save and start. So when we are at our page and we just search for flight, and we simply take a flight and we register. There we go. And we can simply log in and search again. So everything is still working exactly as expected. Now, when I book it, you can see my booked seats, so I can again cancel it. So everything is just working as expected and as it worked before. Now, let's go back to our application and go into the file that we have just created, which is authguard.ts. And here you got that can activate function. Now, instead of returning true, let's simply go ahead and return false and see what happens now. So go ahead and open the application again. Let me just go to home again. Let me search for passenger. Let me click on book. You can see we are not able to get to the book flight component anymore. So in the end, what this can activate function or method is doing, it really allows or denies the user to proceed further. So we are now not able to go to that route, right? And it simply got blocked by returning a different Boolean value from that function. So let's proceed here. Let's use the auth guard to redirect to avoid the user who is not logged in from opening the book flight page. We already got that implemented somewhere else. So go into the book flight component, book flight component.ts. And if you now scroll a little bit down, you can see that we got this one here. If auth service current user is null, we redirect him to register passenger component, right? Or register passenger URL. So let's go ahead and simply take this. Let me just right click and cut it. So we now have it in a way that we can paste it. So it's now gone from here. And now let's switch back again to our auth guard. So first of all, I will simply go ahead and right above our return false, I will now simply paste it. It will now throw some errors for sure because he has no references. But in the end, we always want to go ahead, well, depending on the use case, but in most cases, you want to go ahead and return it true, right? So we check if the user is null or if we have a user, and depending on the situation, so if we don't have a user, we redirect him away to register passenger, and in every other case, the can activate should return true and we can proceed from visiting that URL. Now let's go ahead and fix those errors here. First of all, we need our auth service, so import auth service from it's slash auth service. There we go. And secondly, we need our router, and you can see here activate router snapshot. We are already at Angular router, so we can simply extend it and add the router to it, so that we just grab another object or another information from the same library. Awesome. Let's scroll down. We need a constructor now because we need to use our auth service and our router. So let's create a constructor. It's nice in TypeScript. It's simply called constructor. So let's go ahead, add private auth service of type auth service, and for sure private router of type router. Now just add some curly braces. There we go. Okay, so we have that constructor. Now we have auth service and router, so we can now simply, well, get that code working, right? Auth service and router. Awesome. So let me just get that clear again. Once the user tries now to visit a page or a route which has actually, that can activate here assigned, that auth guard, right? So it's just for book flight. We just have that here. So once the user gets to that URL, now the can activate function here will get called, and the condition here inside will get checked. So if we have a current user, if we don't have a current user, the user is getting redirected to register a passenger. In every other case, we simply return true, which means, okay, the user can proceed to the URL or can activate the URL, right? That's definitely some awesome logic behind it. Let's go ahead and take a look at our application again. Okay, so here at our application, let's try to book a flight. For sure wants me to register. There we go. He blurs away now because I didn't shut down the application. Now let me search for a flight again, and now I'm able to book. So the functionality is complete again. So it works. We have just switched the authorization logic from a very manual way to a more, well, Angular based way. And we can now start working on the stuff, or we can continue from here and finally take care about that situation where I'm, well, click on search a passenger and he will redirect me to log in and then search again, right? So we had that very early in the course where we said, okay, we need to take care about the UX later on, because you go to the page, search your flight, right? You take one, you have to log in, and then you have to completely search again. And today we will completely eliminate that, so that the system remembers where the user wants to go. And for this, we need those route guards. So this is the very first step. First of all, use route guards to get to the current used authorization. And now we can start proceeding from here.